Satya Dharma Reflection on April the 1st, 2022. Just go beyond the brightening so that it will be true, so that it will purify the habits of being limited. Beyond awakening, beyond brightening, go ahead. Continue so. That which has nothing to do with the unevoked itself will purify all the traces and the frame of the delusive attachment entirely. Beyond awakening, beyond the brightening, towards all the elements of earth, air, water, and fire, and space. Purify in the way that is penetrating through everything. That which has nothing to do with the disregarding or non-attachment, it will be beyond awakening and brightening. Continue so. Continue with the great compassion and compassion continuously. Go ahead with the lion roar of the mighty force of the blessing. To be limited, it will not penetrate through anything. Beyond awakening, beyond brightening, That which has nothing to do with the uninvolved itself is beyond the brightening. Beyond the brightening continuously, beyond awakening continuously, so that it will penetrate through as a purification onwards. To be just looking, seeing and knowing, to be just with the attributes, it will be blocked. That which has nothing to do with the uninvolved itself has to go towards that which is beyond the brightening at the same time. It will be the purification of the emptiness that is simultaneous, without exception, even within the elements of space. There are realms of existence existing in there. Whatever the one thing that nothing is there, but there is something. Realm of existence is there. Therefore, that which has nothing to do with the uninvolved itself, within the disregarding itself, has to be given completely, absolutely, so that it will be beyond awakening and brightening simultaneously. With these, it will have enough anupap, or the mighty force that is sufficient to purify samsara, to purify oneself and samsara simultaneously. The uninvolved with the disregarding is to be in the way without grasping, not grasping the mind, not grasping any state of mind or any attributes of the mind. No grasping fully. That which has nothing to do with the non-attachment doesn't grasp itself absolutely. Then it will be without flaw by the purification of the extinction and the emptiness that is naturally there. That which has nothing to do with the disregarding fully, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind, has the awakening in itself naturally, then it will be beyond awakening. It will happen on its own. Fall in stillness and indifference. Go away wherever you want. Not sitting around and drown in it, in stillness and indifference right here. Go further away from here. This is like holding everyone back altogether. That which has nothing to do with disregarding or not is beyond the mind, beyond any state of mind, beyond stillness and indifference. Otherwise, it will not be called penetrating through, helping samsara through the enlightenment. Do you know that? uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself continuously and completely, constantly. Go beyond your age, your old age. The uninvolved discards itself, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. It will purify all the delusion to practice the body and the mind, all the practice of the Dharma that is deluded. It's all about samudaya. It's the cause of the suffering itself. Practicing, looking, seeing, knowing. All of that is the samudaya within itself. Is the cause of the suffering entirely. Let's decrease the causes. Let's decrease the causes. That which is not having anything to do with the disregarding. This is all about causes, all this kind of determining and projecting of the mind. Decrease it, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. The disregard doesn't grasp itself. With this, it will decrease all the causes of suffering totally. All the practice of body and mind and everything worldly or dharma, all that practicing is the whole system of samudaya, causes of suffering. All this practicing is that which creates lifetime, creating samsara. Otherwise, my or disregarding from the disregarding itself will not be asked to do, to give. Let's seize the samudaya of the practicing. All the practitioner, all the walking, the walker of the path is the samudaya itself. There's just karma and karma. That which has nothing to do with stillness, but deluded to the stillness. That which is not about indifference, but be deluded to the indifference. That which is not involved even within anything itself, but there is obsession to involve with the uninvolved itself. Let's end samsara to help one another. This is not to encourage to practice or walking in the path in this way and that way, becoming samsara on, creating samsara and cycle of becoming onwards. This is karma overlaying dharma, karma overlaying aggregate body-mind elements on, being deluded to practice the body and mind, overlaying body and mind on. End it. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Let's end it. Let's end overlaying the body and the mind. Disregard even from the disregard itself continuously. End the overlaying of the body and mind and dharma. With this, there will be no one who is attached or detached. Being deluded to overlay, to deceive, to be attached or detached on. Disregard even from the disregard itself. It has nothing to do with practicing the body and mind in whatever ways at all. This is without notice that the practicing itself is totally samudhaya. It is the suffering itself, and the causes of suffering is the one that creates cycle of becoming and creating karma within itself. This is without notice, without realized. This is only encouraging to create karma. Disregard even from the disregard itself, so that it will end of the delusion to attach or detach. To be deluded with liking or disliking, yes and no, end this kind of delusion. Disregard even from the disregard itself. So that it will end all the searches to become desire itself. In searching for a refuge in the desire itself, disregard. So that it will not be delusively attaching or detaching naturally. So that it will have nothing to do with taking a refuge or searching for a refuge. So that it will have nothing to do with taking a refuge. Being deluded within a refuge, what is it within there? It is a parasite, it is a delusive attachment. Always hanging, clinging. This is the delusive attachment, is the parasite. What is it within the refuge? Disregard even from the disregard itself. It will end, naturally it will end being detached and attached. Ends the creation of cycle of becoming and the samudhaya itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Don't be obsessed with integrating and creating body and mind. This is all about creating karma totally. Don't be obsessed to overlay the body and the mind. Disregard even from the disregard itself, so that it will enable to not having anything to do with the body and the mind. It will enable to uninvolve even within the uninvolved itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself amidst awakening and brightening. Don't be amidst anything with someone in it. Otherwise, one will be surrounded on and on. Being obsessed with significance and meanings and involvement within body and mind, always arising that overlay body and mind. The arising that is there is not sufficient. The arising overlays the arising furthermore. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, it will have nothing to do with the body and mind naturally. Don't be obsessed to overlay the body and mind arising, overlaying on and on. for what? The arising that is adding on top of the arising, being obsessed with something significance and meanings and involvement within body and mind. The body and mind is already arisen. There is no need to overlay on top with it, with the arising mind. Let's help one another to give ending as helping samsara. Disregard even from the disregard itself for everything simultaneously altogether, so that it will help giving ending the samudaya and samsara altogether. This is without encouragement, without projecting mind and determinating of the mind. Let's purify all this projecting mind and determine arising, overlaying body and mind. The arising, overlaying senses and sense perceptions, on and on. Overlaying the earth, air, water and fire, on and on. There is no purification, but the arising is on top of it. That which has nothing to do with the disregarding in a way that is absolute, without being considerate to the body and the mind, without having any regret. There is no need to having any regrets with the body and mind and senses at all, so that it will be deliberate cut through with the purification of the extinction and the emptiness altogether, without regret and being considerate with looking, seeing and knowing at all. That which has nothing to do with the disregarding absolutely, continuously, then we have nothing to do with involvement or uninvolvement naturally. If to help give ending altogether, it has to be in this way. Disregard even from the disregard altogether, all the same. That's helping to give ending as helping altogether. Other thing else is not in the way of helping as ending altogether. It will create just suffering and the causes of suffering altogether. Instead, to help give ending altogether, it has to be disregard even from the disregard itself, ending, overlaying the body and mind. Nothing is within body and mind form of formlessness. Disregard even from the disregard itself is not about anything within itself. The disregard doesn't take in itself. It's not about anything within itself. Disregard even from the disregard itself. So that it will end all the delusion regarding liking or disliking, yes and no. Each day one doesn't realize that one is crazily being deluded with liking or disliking, yes and no, on and on. There is no need to regret one's own mind. Disregard, absolutely. Disregard even from the disregard itself. Don't regret the existence of thoughts, recalls, emotions and feelings and the mind, or the existence of attributes of the mind, or the senses, sense perceptions. Disregard even from the disregard itself, absolutely. Be deliberate, cut through. So that it will be beyond all the cycle of the becoming, enable that, however, it's possible to form up again. Let's enable to go beyond the cycle of the becoming, beyond cycle of birth, old age, sickness and death. Nibbana, the Anubhav of and the compassion and great compassion can be formed up at any time. The disregard is not the disregard itself. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, the non-attachment is not itself. Nothing is within the non-attachment itself. Simultaneously with the climate, the physical world, realms of existence, simultaneously proceeding in such a way so that it will give ending, being samsara simultaneously. Don't be obsessed with delusively practicing on and on, circling on and on. The more practicing, the more circling. It's not ending. This is no disregarding. The more practicing, the more circling in it, turning into samsara itself. This is all about samudaya, causes of suffering and the suffering itself. Otherwise, how can there be the existence of realms of existence in the 32 realms? This is coming from the practicing itself. Disregard, even from the disregard itself, it will give ending to these realms. This is not about practicing to create realm of existence. Deceiving one another on and on, practicing, sitting, meditation, then there will be a lot of merits. This is deceiving. What is there to gain? Being deluded to gain on and on, to obtain on and on. All the enlightenment is there already. Everything is anatta, meaningless in itself. Being deluded to gain the anicca, everything is already enlightened as anicca, dukkha, anatta. What is there to be deluded, to obtain, to attain? To gain anicca, this is deceiving oneself. Being deluded about merits and dismerit, disregard even from the disregard itself. Being obsessed with levels, this is all about samsara. Why not helping one another as ending? Why competing to create realm of existence and creating to gain merits on and on? To be blocked with any realm of existence is just blocking within such a realms. This is all about samsara. Being deluded with the perfection, being deluded with merit and wholesomeness, grasping that which is not about grasping, being deluded to grasp something that is not about grasping. Disregard even from the disregard itself. The disregard is not about anything within itself, is not relevant to itself. then it will end the delusion within body and mind, inside and outside, and end being stubborn to persist onwards. It will be automatic. Don't regret the ordinary emotion, disregard. Disregard even from the disregard itself continuously.